Hi there, it's Vanessa from Cove, and you're listening to the 79th edition of The Networker. This week, we're looking at how trust, visibility, and behavior are redefining what it means to build a network. From social capital in the age of AI, to the rise of digital reputation, to the quiet power of professional friendships and weak ties, this edition explores a shift that is easy to miss, but impossible to ignore. Careers are no longer shaped by who you meet. They are shaped by how you are perceived, remembered, and trusted over time. So let's dive in. We begin with a piece from the Cove team that reframes trust not as a vague cultural concept, but as a measurable strategic variable. Drawing on research from Deloitte, the article highlights that high-trust organizations outperform the S&P 500 by 30% to 50%, while nearly 80% of employees in high-trust environments report higher motivation. What stands out is not just the data, but the gap between belief and action. Leaders consistently say trust matters, yet rarely measure it directly. The implication is clear. When trust is treated as intangible, it becomes unmanaged. And when it is unmanaged, it quietly erodes. Trust in this framing is not sentiment, it is infrastructure. That idea of trust as infrastructure expands in an article by Kathy Hackle for Forbes, examining the role of social capital in an AI-driven world. As automation absorbs technical and analytical tasks, competitive advantage is shifting toward human capabilities, particularly influence, connection, and the ability to mobilize networks. Referencing World Economic Forum insights, the article positions social influence as one of the fastest rising skills globally. What becomes clear is that networks are no longer passive assets. They are active systems that can be activated, directed, and scaled. The leaders who thrive are not those with the largest audiences, but those who can convert relationships into coordinated action. A more practical lens appears in a Forbes careers piece by Tracy Brower, which grounds this shift in everyday behavior. With 54% of people reporting that they found their job through a connection, yet only 10% actively reaching out, the gap is not awareness, but action. The article introduces a simple but underutilized idea. Expand what you ask for. Advice, introductions, perspective, not just opportunities. It also reinforces the overlooked role of weak ties. The people further from your inner circle often hold the most novel information. Opportunity rarely travels through familiarity. It travels through distance. That distance becomes less intimidating in an article from the American Veterinary Medical Association, which reframes networking for introverts as a one-person-at-a-time practice. Rather than viewing networking as performance in crowded rooms, it is repositioned as a series of manageable, intentional interactions. The concept of a challenge zone is particularly useful. Growth happens just beyond comfort, not far outside it. What stands out is the emphasis on reframing. Networking is not a personality trait. It is a trainable behavior shaped through small, repeated actions. The importance of intentional relationships is reinforced in a Fortune article examining the career philosophy of Ironman CEO Scott DeRue. His critique of networking is direct. The danger lies in treating relationships as transactions. Instead, he frames them as a long-term system of mutual value, built before they are needed. His metaphor of relationships as a bank account is simple but effective. Consistent deposits of time, attention, and contribution create a reserve that can be drawn upon later. What matters is not frequency of contact, but continuity of intent. That same critique of performative networking appears in an article from All Workspace, which explores how social media is reshaping hiring decisions. With 46% of Gen Z reporting, they have secured opportunities through TikTok, and recruiters increasingly evaluating candidates through digital footprints. Reputation is no longer built in formal settings. It is observed continuously. The boundary between personal and professional identity has collapsed. Visibility now operates as a double-edged signal. It can accelerate opportunity, but it also amplifies risk. What you share, how you communicate, and how you show up publicly now shape perception long before any formal interaction begins. Across all of these perspectives, a consistent pattern emerges. The center of networking is shifting away from events, tactics, and visibility, and towards something more fundamental: trust, behavior, and consistency over time. Before we wrap up, let's turn to this week's recommendations. Our book of the week is The Non-Transactional Network. It reframes networking as trust building rather than contact collecting. The core insight is simple but often ignored. Relationships compound when they are built before they are needed and sustained through contribution, not extraction. In uncertain markets, trust becomes the system that carries opportunity forward. And finally, don't miss out on AI Summit 2026 by CultureCon. AI is changing how we work, but it doesn't have to replace what makes work human. CultureCon's AI Summit brings together innovators and decision makers to examine not just what AI can do to improve work, but what it should do with a focus on ethics, accountability, transparency, and the human impact of emerging technologies. You'll find the link to learn more and register in the email version of The Networker. That's all for the 79th edition of The Networker. The thread running through every story this week is clear. Relationships are no longer built in moments. They are built in patterns. Trust is no longer assumed. It is observed. And reputation is no longer controlled. It is continuously formed. Until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and remember, your network isn't just who you know. It's how consistently others experience you over time. And don't forget, the full edition of The Networker is waiting for you in your inbox. I'll see you next time.